Hi guys, my name's Dale and welcome to D&DGaming. If this is your first time visiting our channel, we provide honest, in-depth game reviews on a wide range of PC games and review them from the perspective of two experienced gamers. We highly recommend you click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our up and coming game reviews. If you find you like this review, remember to give it a thumbs up by hitting that like button. With that said, in for a review this time around is underwater adventure game ABZU. Reviewing the game with me is my brother Dav.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. ABZU is an underwater adventure game developed by Giant Squid Studios and published by 505 Games for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Microsoft Windows and Amazon Luna. The game was originally released in digital download form in August 2016, with the retail version for consoles later released in January 2017. You play as a diver who awakens floating on the water and then goes for a swim. So Dale, what were your first impressions?
Well, I'd never even heard of the game before going into it, so I had no idea what to expect. The name itself doesn't really give much away, but it does become evident straight away that this is a water-based game.
Yeah, so for me, first impressions, it was quite clear looking at the digital cover of the game that it's an underwater adventure game. I don't think there's much more we can delve into on that one. So what were your general thoughts following playthrough?
Well, you get straight into the game in this one with no real introduction or background, and there's a slight introduction tutorial, but very basic. This isn't necessarily a bad thing and works in many games, but on reflection, I feel like this would benefit from some sort of extended introduction, as the game itself essentially has no narrative, no story to speak of, no real objectives other than minor exploration, and very shallow, pun intended, puzzle elements, if you can even call them that. I'd say the best way to describe this game is as a swimming simulator, a very basic swimming simulator.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, even having a look back, I still don't know what the fuck I just played. It's just one of those arty games that looks pretty but doesn't really have a huge amount of substance to it. I could probably one-liner all the review sections we usually go through and be done in about a minute if I was quick enough. We can even release this review as a short, probably.
So in terms of graphic options, very basic in this one. Essentially just render resolution and about 3 other options, very limited here.
Yeah, nothing to add to that on graphic options. So in terms of graphics and graphics performance, well, we'll put our PC specs up on screen as usual, but the game ran well on my PC, no noticeable graphical issues or anything. The graphics themselves are okay, kind of cartoony, indie game looking, has that kind of typical indie developer feel to the graphics and objects in the game, mostly low polygon objects with bright, vibrant colours, but I guess it kind of works for this style of game.
Yeah, it does have very basic graphics that have a certain appeal, but I actually wasn't keen at all on the design of the diver that you play. Just very basic looking and lacking any real detail. Some of the levels look quite nice and the fish resembled, well, fish.
The game controls are very basic. On PC, it's just a combination of the right mouse button and WASD keys to swim around, left mouse button as a swimming boost, spacebar to interact with objects, and the E button to perform a roll, which is quite fun, and the shift button to grab hold of any larger fish and mammals to hitch a ride. There's no key rebindings available, but then I guess with such simple controls, why fucking bother?
Yeah, there were certainly simple enough controls using the keyboard and mouse, although I think they would definitely feel more fluid on a controller.
So in terms of the game story, I have no fucking idea. And having finished the game, I'm still none the wiser. The game just kind of starts, no intro to speak of, no backstory or dialogue to speak of as you play. The story is kind of implied through game cutscenes, but it's really not a relatable story in any way. Basically, you're a diver who wakes up floating in the water at the beginning and then you just start to swim. And in terms of game mechanics, there's a short tutorial at the beginning enabling you to familiarise yourself with the controls, but after this you swim your way through the 8 chapters that blend into one another seamlessly. As you swim through the areas, you collect large shell objects from the sea floor, still have no idea what these actually do, release fish from these vent-looking bits on the floor, and meditate, which allows you to view the fish in the near vicinity, and also complete puzzles to open gates and unlock the next area. You also find these little jet-powered robots that assist you with some tasks, such as clearing a type of netting growth blocking some of the routes. There are a huge range of fish and mammal species. There must be over 100, which was quite impressive, especially with the big shoals of them. This was great, as half the time what you'll actually find yourself doing in the game is staring at fish. So at least when this is pretty much the only thing to do, there's quite a few different fish to look at. Following the completion of each area, you swim through the previously dark areas, feel full of light, and then you unlock the next area.
So in terms of UI, there is no on-screen UI in this, and as you have no health indicator or weapons, or in fact anything really, you don't need anything on the screen at all. When you go into meditation mode, it shows the name of the fish on the screen, which is nice if you want to learn about the names of fish, I guess.
Yeah, so as Dale pointed out, it's pretty much non-existent. There's a little pop-up telling you how many shells you've collected when you collect a new one, but still, these were absolutely pointless to collect. You get nothing for doing so, from what I could see. So in terms of sound and music, finally something positive, in my opinion, on this one. The game sounds were really good, very authentic sounding. The music was also very good. I didn't notice any of it repeat, and it was very fitting for the game and blended in quite nicely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did quite like the music in this, and it was well composed. It worked well with the flow of the game and was very relaxing to listen to. To be brutally honest though, I think I would have probably had more fun just sitting back and listening to the music for the 2 or so hours this game takes to complete.
So in terms of bugs and glitches, Dale, did you find any in this?
There are no obvious bugs or glitches for me, but the camera seemed a bit janky at times, and noticeably when trying to switch between the fish when meditating.
Yeah, I found one kind of glitch where I was meditating and the camera floated through the wall and fish was just sort of flapping around. We actually created a short for this, so there's a link in the description to that.
So to sum up, things I liked about the game, well, let's see here. Let me just check my notes. Well, I didn't have to pay for the game, and that was definitely a positive. I guess if you like looking at fish and swimming, you might like the game. Also, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, you can start playing the game and it's likely to put you straight to sleep. In all seriousness though, there isn't much I really liked about the game, unfortunately. The music was nice and it was very relaxing to play, but it really didn't have much appeal for me. It was just a very basic, simple game, but not in a way that I really enjoyed, unfortunately.
Yeah, so from my point of view, for things I liked about it, it's a relaxing game. You can kind of just chill and play. You don't have to concentrate too hard. It's very vibrant, and although the detail is somewhat lacking in areas, the chapter's layout and different subterranean areas were quite well designed on the whole. It has really good underwater physics, and especially when you get picked up by the water currents. It has great game sounds and music, as mentioned earlier. It has the best end screen I've seen in any game as the highlight of my game.
So in terms of things I didn't like, as mentioned earlier, there's no narrative, no story to speak of, and no real objectives. And so it really just felt kind of pointless to me. It was really hard for me to engage with the game, and it just didn't interest me at all. The levels felt quite repetitive with very little variety in what you actually do. You got a bit more interesting towards the end, but nowhere near enough to bring it around for me. The puzzles in the game aren't really puzzles at all, and there's no challenge whatsoever to the game. As I already mentioned, it's essentially a swimming simulator. The game is very short as well, a maximum of a couple of hours, but can be completed in much less. In many ways, this was actually a relief, as I was quite keen to finish it, but if you have actually paid out for this, you may feel a bit ripped off.
Yeah, so for me, things I didn't like about it, I didn't understand what the fuck was going on other than following a shark around. There's no story, and so you can't attach yourself to the character you're playing in any way, so you find yourself very detached from what's actually going on. There's not enough to do, and what there is to do just gets very repetitive really quickly. Each area is basically swim around, look for the shell items and robot things, turn a few cogs to open the next area, and off you go. There's simply not enough substance to grasp in the game. Shell items didn't seem to do anything. Releasing more fish through the vents didn't achieve much either. The only thing that kind of held my attention for a while was the fish watching whilst meditating, but eventually that got boring as well. There's zero replayability to the game. Would rather cut my tackle off with a rusty bread knife and feed it to some fish. Be less painless and more fun than this game, I think. It kind of felt like playing a glorified screensaver, you know, one of those ones from Windows 98 with the fish swimming around. So in terms of missed opportunities, Dale, do you think there's any in this?
I think they really could have added some much more interesting puzzle elements to the game, and some of the levels become quite bigger and slightly more interesting later on. But as it is, those levels just largely repeat themselves, and there's just no variety in them. I think there was a massive missed opportunity to just expand those elements of the game.
Yeah, so I did some digging after I played this, and the basis behind the game, which relates to an ancient civilization, is really quite interesting. I seriously think they missed an opportunity to create more of a story around this, or even just some information in the game that could teach players about the civilization it's based on. They really should have had more content, such as collectibles that actually get you something or assist you in some way to make the game more playable and replayable as well. So in terms of scores, Dale, what do you think on this one?
Well, I slowly came to the conclusion with this one that it's a game designed for kids. I mean, I'm not sure it really is, but it certainly felt like it. It's so basic and really has no depth to it. The puzzles are simple, as are the graphics. Essentially, I feel a child could complete the game, so the way it guides you and you basically can't die. It's so simple. It really seems the sort of game that was made by a single dev as some sort of demo project for a bigger game. But then I saw the credits roll and realised the whole team worked on it. Unfortunately, there's so few positives to this game, I really can't recommend playing it. It's not a terrible game, and I think I get the idea of what they were going for, but there's just not enough there for me to give it a good score, and so I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10.
Yeah, so for me, I'm actually finding it quite hard to score this game. The highlight for me was the end screen, and I really don't think that anyone should have to say that about a game, but I can't find anything positive about the game other than the game sounds and music, achievement of creating lots of fish species, and the fun end screen, I guess. Generally, I try my best to be impartial when I review games. I will give credit where credit's due, as I have throughout this review, but the credit in this is not nearly enough to overcome the lack of substance and interactivity in this game. Sometimes you just have to call a spade a spade. For me, ABZU is a glorified screensaver at best, therefore it's a 3 out of 10 from me. Very disappointing. If there's something I'm missing that people see in this game, then enlighten me in the comments section, because I simply don't see it.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video, and we'll see you in the next one.